When I was a very young poet, lived in Brooklyn, on just enough money to buy lentils, I had the occasion to read with John Ashbery before he passed, and at the dinner afterwards, after drinking several martinis, John Ashbery said, "I'm John Ashbery, and I have been writing poetry for 50 years!" And the whole dinner conversation, in fact, the restaurant fell silent. And then he sat down. But I feel like saying, I've been reading poetry in this bar for 25 years. And I love this bar like a home. It is one of the few places in the world I read new work. I come here because I love you, because I love these walls, because I love the funny smells of smoke everywhere. I'm so happy to be here. KGB. Okay, can we just now transition to the fact that a very important other use of the word score is to scratch, as in to harrow, as in to scrape the body or the soil.
It's in the book, baby.
I can't wait to read your book. I love come on. I have all these things written down "Are dust or loam from a shapely nebula." How good was that? That was so good. I'm so honored to be here with Casey and Willa, who's not Willa Cather, but...
Sorry.
That was great. This is great. I just thought I would follow that, though, with a poem about farming, which I did in the Berkshires, about scoring the earth. Beside the thaw, we bow into the rose that winter tore. March tenders this warm day. Our shovels grunt inside the mulch. We tamp down muddy beds, lay burlap paths, prod bodies out of winter slumber, pile field stones beside the spring. Work, one row to clean and then another. Unearthing rocks is like dislodging anger. We break and sit along the ragged grass line. We eat beside the thawing river. Our backs, too, are small stones in the sun. I partly wanted to do that because I'm going to just read a suite of poems for food right now. And I think the background of this is that actually in relation to the enormous grief of these years, sometimes the smallest things were the things that would hold me. Basic, base. Egg ode. When I feed you the egg, food of dinosaur, of rat and lizard, food of raccoon, food even of chicken, embryo food, amino, omega, elegant inner fat protein ocean, I watch you become an Ouroboros, swallowing again the seed of animal life. I too feel the snake behind my own eye. I too admire each vowel ovum. See how I crack for you, bright omnivore. You fist up mouthfuls of gold and white plunder. Your mouth open and open for more. Radish ode. I lie 5 spheres with butter on a wood board for Easter, bitter globes with long tails, spring's first muddy root, sharp remembrance and tang for liver from soil. Long tails billow and peppery bodies balloon into spring, and each radical bulb rooted in loam. It dug its earth-dark tomb, each root here pushed open the wide hemisphere. Fern Ode. What fiddleheads we found down the long logging road on a hike in mist tendriling out, pushing the cracking concrete further apart, all fingertip, fiddly violin, F-scroll unfurling, cracking the ground up, said B, which they were, and giggling, we picked some, furzed and firm to simmer for dinner, and left some to unfurl, to laugh, to rewild the old road. Collard Ode. Anybody here like collard greens as much as I do? All right. Did anybody have a mother who told them that when they simmer food in an iron pot, it absorbs the iron and then you're stronger? Vitamin C. Take your tomatoes and get that cast iron pot. I've had one for 25 years, actually since I was reading here, actually since college, longer than that, longer than 25 years, and it still works. In this world of broken things, buy yourself a cast iron pot. It will make you feel better. Collard Ode. Leathery, bitter to taste. The one in my garden is called tree collard. It towers, spiny, half wilding to vine. Somebody brought it with what little they had and made it keep living. And mine makes me keep living too. Winter's over in mud, fills out in spring, gives till November. Leaf by leaf, we eat them in soup. My grandmother cooked hers with pork fat, vinegar, mustard, but these leaves take what you have to hand, garlic and soy sauce, your last bit of broth. They are tough till you make them tender. Tell me, do you know someone like that? You bring salt, they bring the iron they dug from the earth. I feel like you know that person, right? All right. I live in a crowded home. My desk is in the living room. My Zoom calls are peopled with children needing things. Thank you. I know, you hear me. But in front of my writing desk, there is a plum tree. And when it blossoms, I sit in front of it every day. Mud and spring. All day long, bees in blossoms. Sometimes looking up, I catch one, watch it thrumbling, swaying, really. A trampoline, the flowers shifting on the entire bough, like tambourines, and pedal music dusting down. I watched this one tree for weeks. Green buds, white tips, a kiss, then 10. The tree all bloom-struck. Now each blossom opens, pentacle heart, an apple star, sepal eyelet of an Easter dress, the colors of a first communion. Though of course it is the other way around. The dresses long since copied trees. Last night in the full moon, I stepped out to revel in the moonlit flowers and stood inhaling mud and spring. Half silliness, half discipline. Here, says my life, don't miss your joy. Put the daily laundry of your sadness down. When it talks that way, I want to obey. I moved my chair for extra reverie. But even when I try to see, I miss it. Today, green plums scatter. The squirrels shake others sharply from the boughs. I love your breathing. The hardest thing in the pandemic was reading poems to people who did not breathe in small response. Little laugh goes a long way. I love this reading tonight. I'm not going to read my long poem about bone flutes, but that was such a great, beautiful thing. I have bone flutes in a poem too. Bone flutes are wonderful. I'm going to read one more food poem and then a love poem. How about that? Does that sound good? Yeah. All right. So, who here is Southern enough to know what to do with green tomatoes? All right, good. So the thing is, when they don't ripen, you should still eat them. They are wonderful fruit. And the other thing is, when they come green in California, it is also October, which is the month we now call fire season. Green tomatoes in fire season. There is smoke in the air when I go pick them. I go despite panic, also because inside I'll make chutney. For an hour or so, I unlatch them. It is late fall, they will not ripen, firm, pale green skins, fine-coated in ash. Our fire season goes all autumn now, though today's fire is not yet near to us. But the green tomatoes, I love their pale lobes. Tonight, God willing, we will fry some with cornmeal and fish. Inside the air purifier whirs, I will boil them with molasses and raisin, jar them for friends and for the winter. Disaster, we say, meaning bad star. These are good green stars. This is also their season. Mask on, I bend and bend to the vine. I bend and salvage what I can. This poem, you'll figure out who it's a love poem to, but it's actually an eclipse poem, but for the moon. Thank you all. This is really just such a joy. Solstice, eclipse. The papers said, once in a generation. And that morning, looking out on snow, we read how the full moon darkened, and for an hour our earthly shadow stretched blood red across the plate white moon. Then it passed, and the wide round moon turned its lone eye on fields and silos. We hadn't seen it, hadn't tried, had been asleep. That miracle swam above our faces, possibly the moment that I dreamed again of the new planet I had seen. Once in a lifetime glimmer, the first gleam, oh, the froggy kick of bright new legs, oh, fresh swim in my dark ultrasound. Thank you.